You know, it's that time of year when allergies are at their highest for most people, so you might reach for a Claritin or Benadryl, but there may be another option: chiropractic treatments. Lindsey Boetsch is live this morning to tell us more about why allergies may be related to your spine. Good morning, Lindsey.
Hey, good morning, Chad. And I suffer from allergies. I'm pretty sure you do too. A lot of people have a lot of drainage, a lot of postnasal drip. All of that is related because your spine goes from your head all the way through your body. So Dr. Justin Felsman joins me now. Explain a little bit about how it all works together.
Absolutely. The upper neck, the spine, is what I would be checking through the nerve roots that exit the upper part of your spine and come around and control the sinuses. So if your nervous system is functioning better, usually your immune system is functioning better, you can fight off any of the allergens or things like that that can cause those sinus issues. Now,
as a chiropractor, how do you treat that, or what things do you look for? How do you go about that?
Absolutely. If someone comes into me and they're having sinus issues, the first thing they do is take a detailed history, try to figure out the cause of the problem in the first place. So were they outside a lot? Was the grass being cut around you? Just try to figure out the problem itself. Generally after that, I check the spine, check the upper cervical spine just to check if there's anything misalignments. After that, I'll usually do some form of like a sinus massage, along with there's some lymphatic drainage up in your upper neck as well, kind of doing that to massage and help the immune system function properly. I usually look at nutrition, water. Other suggestions might be neti pot. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it kind of helps.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah, it can be, but it does affect the sinuses. And then most important too is you may need to be referred to an ear, nose, and throat specialist or an allergy person who can test for those type of things and make sure you get every angle for the patient.
So while you can help, you might not be the end-all be-all of the whole situation. Are there acute symptoms? Are there more serious symptoms where you would say just skip a chiropractor altogether?
If it's a more serious thing, if there's an actual blockage in the sinuses, then yes, you need to have a scope go through there, check the sinuses and that type of thing. So absolutely.
What kind of symptoms can be relieved through chiropractic care?
Relief really is through the sinus massages. Can usually a lot of times help drainage, but sometimes the less is more is actually better because I've had patients come in where they've had that issues. You help them, and then they're up for a couple days because they have so much drainage because their sinuses were so blocked. And then you don't like me very much either. So sometimes coming in and doing just a little bit can help to open it up just enough to where you can breathe a lot better.
Well, spring is the time for allergies. It's also time for baseball, softball, and gardening, which are also things that can affect your back, and we're going to talk about those things coming up later on in the show.
All right, very nice. You know, baseball and softball season are among us, and kids are actually already starting to practice football, believe it or not. And it's important to make sure your kids don't get hurt mid-season. Lindsey Boetsch joins us now with a few ways to prevent those mid-season injuries. Hey, Lindsey.
Hey, it's important to have your kids go all season long. You want to see them playing, and you want them to be healthy. So there are some things that you need to do to make sure that your kids get the proper technique and the proper conditioning before they go out and play those sports so that they don't get injured. Dr. Justin Felsman joins me. He's a chiropractor. Explain a little bit about what kids need to do to get conditioned for sports.
Absolutely. It's a lot of running and physical things. When they're younger, limiting pitch counts is vital. Especially the younger they are, probably the fewer pitch counts that you should allow them to do. Biomechanics is key as well, making sure that they're pitching the proper form when they're young, so that way when they get older and stronger, they're not injuring themselves, because eventually tissue will break down if they continue to throw in improper form.
Well, and the Little League has restrictions on how many pitches they can count. How important is it for the coaches to keep track of that and to make sure that their players aren't going over that?
It's very important. I would think that 50 would be the limit. You also want to take days in between. So if say a little leaguer, 8 or 9-year-old is pitched, they pitch their 50 pitches, they continue with their last batter, then they don't pitch until the next day at least, or even a day after that. So rest is important afterwards.
If you don't rest and you continue to throw, what can that do to your body?
It can basically either be your shoulder or your elbow. You see even in major leagues where people are getting Tommy John surgery. A lot of that stuff starts when they're younger because they may be throwing in an improper form. So you look at the pros and the guys who are really good, their biomechanics are impeccable. They don't break down, and so that's why they're so good. So that's what you want to start when they're young, is get them pitching the right way when they're young, and so that way they don't mess things up when they're older.
Unlike the movie, I think Rookie, is it, that the guy gets his shoulder injured and then he can throw better after he has his arm in his cast. But it's not all about baseball and throwing too. It's all types of sports. How important is that core strength to your back?
It's very vital. You want to basically, again, everything starts from the spine and comes up. So whether it be basketball, you need to train for basketball. You know, if you're a soccer player, you need to train as if you're a soccer player. Do the sport-specific things that are vital for that sport.
And you'll be playing all season long, no injuries. That's what we're going for. We don't want your kids to get injured, and as a kid, you probably don't want to get injured either. Coming up, we're going to talk about gardening, because that can be a big stress to your back as well. Chad?
We have a lot of gardeners in the tri-states. That's our wall topic today, is tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And I'm not a gardener, but I'm learning all kinds of things about gardening.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a gardener. don't have a green thumb.
Well, log on to our Facebook page. You can tweet us some of your tricks and tips, and we're going to share those with you in just a few minutes. A little bit of rain over the weekend hopefully helped your garden to grow. And if you got out in the yard and were doing some gardening this weekend and your back's a little sore this morning, there is good reason. But Lindsey Boetsch is here to help you work through the pain. Good morning, Lindsey.
Good morning. Yeah, and a lot of times you have those kneeling pads and you're out there kneeling on your knees, obviously bent over, digging in the garden. But we have some tips for you to make sure that your back doesn't hurt. Now, sometimes it doesn't hurt the next day, correct?
They can be either or, depending on the extent of how much you've lifted. So it could be an instance where you bend down, pick something up, and it's maybe a 150-pound pot, and you hurt yourself right away, and you need to come in and see me. It could be also an example where you're picking up repetitive, weights where it's maybe 10 pounds, you do it 100 times, and you're not sore right away, but it may be the next morning, and then all of a sudden you get out of bed and you're like, what did I do? And
now a lot of adults pick up things incorrectly.
Absolutely. That's the most common mechanism of injury is they'll bend forward, flexed, and then twist, and then they'll end up feeling something in their low back and hurt themselves.
So what is the correct way then to pick up? Maybe you have a bag of soil on the ground. What is the correct way to pick that up?
The correct way to pick something up is if you have something heavier, is always lift down, pick up, bring it close to yourself and up. You never want to bend down, twist, and come back. That's where most people injure themselves.
So bend your knees.
Absolutely.
The key is to bend your knees.
Bend your knees, keep your back straight and in line.
Okay, speaking of knees, you might be on your knees potting your plants or whatever, and this can hurt your back.
Absolutely.
So there's an easier way to do this.
It's the same thing. If you're kind of bent over like this all day long, again, it can hurt your low back and your neck. Last night I was thinking of a recommendation. If you don't mind getting pants dirty, is you can sit potentially like this. If you have one pot or plant that you're working on, you can sit like this, keep your back in line. And it also allows you to stretch the adductors or the muscles that sit right here. So you can kind of work in line and also get a good stretch while doing it.
And if it's, the best possible way would be to do something standing and then eventually put it in the ground.
Absolutely.
Now, we were talking earlier about allergies and sinuses, and if you live on a farm, you might feel different than people who live in a city.
Correct. There's studies that show that people who grew up on a farm, they're exposed to a lot more allergens, but yet their body's built up an immunity to it, and then they don't have the allergic reaction. As where someone who maybe grows up in the city, and they come out to the country, they're exposed to all those allergens, and then they have allergic reactions and get those sinus issues.
So when gardening, if you feel a little pinch in your back, how should you know when to just take some ibuprofen or Aleve or something, and when should you come and see a doctor?
Well, you should really come see me regardless. If it's something that's even a minor issue, pain is usually the first or the last symptom that arrives, and it's the first thing to go away. So the pain is your body's way of saying there's something wrong, and it's a bigger issue than just pain.
All right, so sit on your butt if you're going to be planting this season. Make sure that if you have an injury, make sure you go see a doctor right away before it gets any more serious than it is.
All right, thanks so much for the information this morning, Lindsey.